I'm the first millionaire in my family. I'm the first singer in my first movie star. I got 10 billion in box office receipts on my name. I'm one of one. I am from the hood, but I'm not of the hood.
Right.
This is all I got.
He was once the heart and soul of the Fast and Furious franchise, a singer, actor, and cultural icon whose energy lit up every screen he touched. Tyrese Gibson wasn't just another Hollywood success story. He was a symbol of perseverance, having risen from the streets of Watts, Los Angeles, to global fame. But now, that legacy is under threat. Not from a scandal involving millions or a fall from box office grace, but from something far more personal and devastating. Just days ago, news broke that Tyrese turned himself in to Georgia authorities after being charged with animal cruelty. The details are heartbreaking. His cane Corso dogs allegedly broke free and killed a neighbor's pet, a smaller dog named Belle. The incident sparked an investigation that's led to felony charges, a warrant for his arrest, and a growing legal storm Tyrese may not be able to outrun. While some are quick to condemn him, others are asking deeper questions. Was this a tragic accident, or part of a disturbing pattern of negligence? Has fame clouded his judgment, or is he a victim of sensational media? Behind the scenes, Tyrese has reportedly expressed remorse, rehomed the dogs, and even offered condolences to the grieving neighbor. But for the courts and the public, the damage may already be done. This isn't just a celebrity headline. It's a story of loss, accountability, and the razor-thin line between public forgiveness and permanent fallout. Before he was a movie star or a chart-topping R&B singer, Tyrese Gibson was just another kid growing up in the rough neighborhoods of Watts, South Central Los Angeles. Born in 1978, he was raised by a single mother after his father abandoned the family. It was poverty, instability, and violence that shaped his early world, but also made him hungry for something greater. He once said, "The pain of my past is what fuels the fire in me." At just 16, Tyrese got his first taste of fame in a Coca-Cola commercial, singing "Always Coca-Cola" on a city bus. That 30-second spot changed everything. It led to a recording contract, and in 1998, he released his self-titled debut album featuring the hit single "Sweet Lady." His smooth voice and raw charisma made him a sensation, and soon Tyrese was being hailed as the next big thing in R&B. But it wasn't just music. In 2001, he made the jump to film, landing a breakout role in John Singleton's Baby Boy. That gritty, emotional performance won him critical acclaim and opened the door to Hollywood blockbusters, including Too Fast, Too Furious, Four Brothers, and Transformers. Tyrese became a household name, balancing music and movies with ease and inspiring millions with his story of survival and success. Still, the road wasn't smooth. Tyrese often spoke about feeling like an outsider in Hollywood, misunderstood, marginalized, and boxed in. His success was hard-fought, but behind the scenes, mental health battles, personal losses, and public controversies simmered beneath the surface. The fame was real, but so was the struggle. And as we'd see in later years, that struggle would become impossible to hide. The shocking part of Tyrese Gibson's latest controversy isn't just that he was charged with animal cruelty, it's the tragic and graphic detail behind what really happened. According to police reports, it began with multiple complaints in his Georgia neighborhood. Neighbors claimed his 3 Cane Corso dogs, large, powerful, and notoriously territorial, had been seen wandering the area without leashes, with at least 2 previous escapes logged before the fatal incident. But despite warnings, the problem wasn't addressed in time. Then came the breaking point. One of Tyrese's dogs reportedly attacked and killed a neighbor's smaller dog, a family pet named Belle, right outside their home. Witnesses described a horrific scene. The Cane Corso, a breed known for its sheer power and aggressive defense instincts, had allegedly broken through a gate or unsecured fence, dragging Belle into the street before inflicting fatal injuries. When animal control officers arrived, it was already too late. Belle had died, and the neighborhood was in shock. The incident ignited public outrage. Some neighbors claimed this wasn't the first time they had raised concerns about Tyrese's dogs. Others alleged he failed to maintain proper fencing and ignored early warnings. Animal control and law enforcement soon launched an investigation. What they found, according to reports, was a pattern of negligence. The dogs were not properly secured, safety protocols were not in place, and the tragic attack, they argued, could have been easily prevented. On October 3, 2025, Tyrese turned himself in to Fulton County authorities. He was booked and released on bond the same day, but the legal consequences may linger far beyond the courtroom. He now faces misdemeanor and felony charges, including reckless conduct and animal cruelty. Legal experts say that even if he avoids jail time, the civil fallout could be substantial, especially if the neighbors decide to pursue a wrongful death lawsuit for their pet. In response, Tyrese issued a statement through his legal team expressing deep regret and claiming that he had already rehomed all 3 of the cane corsos. He also said he offered condolences to the neighbors, calling the incident heartbreaking and unintentional. His lawyers emphasized that Tyrese is cooperating fully and wants to make things right. But for many, especially the grieving family, it's too little too late. Social media has since exploded with divided reactions. Some fans rushed to his defense, calling it a tragic accident and pointing out his efforts to resolve the matter responsibly. Others were far less forgiving, accusing Tyrese of privileged negligence, using his celebrity to avoid accountability and failing to recognize the threat his dogs pose to the community. Even more troubling, the story taps into a recurring narrative around Tyrese, the idea that he often finds himself at the center of chaos. Whether it's social media meltdowns, emotional public feuds, or previous legal battles, this latest scandal has many wondering whether his personal life is unraveling faster than his public image can recover. And as the legal battle unfolds, one thing is certain: this isn't just a story about a dog attack. It's about responsibility, about power, about the danger of not listening until it's too late. Because this time, it wasn't Tyrese's life that was lost, but it may be his reputation that never recovers. Before Tyrese Gibson's recent legal troubles, the internet had already witnessed his unraveling. One moment in particular became a symbol of his inner torment, a viral video, raw and unfiltered, where he wept openly on camera and cried, "What more do you want from me?" It was 2017, and Tyrese was in the middle of a fierce custody battle for his daughter Shayla. But that clip wasn't just a cry for legal justice. It was the emotional eruption of a man who had spent years battling anxiety, depression, and a public that seemed to mock his vulnerability at every turn. Tyrese has never hidden his emotions. But in a world that demands strength from its celebrities, especially black men, his tears became ammunition for ridicule. Memes were made, talk shows joked, but behind that breakdown was a long, painful history of emotional instability and trauma that had followed him since childhood. He described moments of hopelessness, paranoia, and isolation. "I was in a dark place," he later confessed. "I didn't feel seen. I didn't feel safe." If you've made it this far, please take a moment to like, subscribe, and comment below. Do you think celebrities like Tyrese deserve more compassion or more accountability? Your voice matters, and every click helps us tell the stories others overlook. Tyrese has said many times that he didn't grow up with emotional tools. Raised in poverty by a single mother, he learned to survive, not to process pain. And once he entered Hollywood, that pain only deepened. From public divorces to industry betrayal, he often turned to social media to vent. And every time, the internet watched him spiral further. In 2021, Tyrese faced another emotional blow when his mother, Priscilla Murray, passed away due to COVID-related complications. He documented her final days on Instagram, posting photos of her unconscious in the hospital and praying publicly for a miracle. After her death, he shared his grief in real time, sobbing, praying, writing letters to the sky. But once again, much of the internet responded not with sympathy, but with mockery. "He's always crying," some said. "Here we go again." But behind the social media theatrics is a man who, by all accounts, is deeply broken. Someone who lost his mother, nearly lost custody of his daughter, and now faces criminal charges that could derail his career. Insiders describe him as lonely, paranoid, and exhausted, surrounded by yes men, but trusting no one. One former assistant claimed Tyrese often spirals into long, emotional monologues in private, questioning why the world keeps turning on him, and perhaps that's the true tragedy here. Tyrese Gibson is not a villain. He's a man crying out for help in the most public way imaginable. But because he's famous, because he's emotional, and because he doesn't always say the right thing, no one listens until it's too late. He tried therapy. He tried prayer. He tried letting the world in. But fame doesn't forgive, and the internet rarely forgets. And now, as he faces his latest crisis, not a chart flop, not a box office failure, but felony charges tied to a preventable tragedy, we are left wondering, will this finally be the moment the world sees the pain behind the persona? Or will it be just another meme Tyrese Gibson stands at a crossroads? At 46, he's no longer the fresh-faced singer from a Coca-Cola commercial or the rising star of Too Fast, Too Furious. The man we see now is weary, battle-worn, and surrounded by headlines he never wanted attached to his name. In one corner, there's his body of work, the music, the films, the grit of a career built from nothing. But in the other, there's a string of controversies, breakdowns, and now criminal charges that threaten to overshadow it all. And the question hanging over everything is this: can he come back from this? Hollywood has a complicated relationship with redemption. Some stars fall and rise again, their mistakes forgiven with time and tears. Others are quietly erased, their legacies reduced to scandal and shame. For Tyrese, the answer may depend on what he chooses to do next, and whether the world is willing to see the full man, not just the headlines. So far, the signs are mixed. His recent film, The Wrecker, is still slated for release this month, with a studio carefully distancing the promotion from his personal life. Insiders say he's emotionally fragile but focused, determined to prove that he's still bankable, still relevant, still Tyrese. But behind the scenes, publicists are nervous. Studios are hesitant. Brands that once courted him have gone silent. His name now trends for all the wrong reasons. Worse yet, the court of public opinion is less forgiving than ever. In the age of viral accountability, one tragic mistake, especially involving harm to another person or innocent animal, can end a career overnight. And while Tyrese has shown remorse, offered condolences, and cooperated with authorities, there are still those who believe he should face consequences beyond PR damage. Still, others argue that this isn't the full story. They point to Tyrese's decades of community service, his honesty about mental health, and his track record of overcoming adversity. They say he's not a monster, just a man who's made mistakes, many of them in the harshest spotlight imaginable. He's human, one longtime friend shared. He's not perfect. He's trying. But sometimes trying isn't enough when the world wants you to fall. And maybe that's what makes Tyrese's story so heartbreaking, because underneath the tears, the outbursts, the chaos, is someone who clearly wants to be better. Someone who's begging to be understood, not just judged. But understanding requires time, patience, and grace. And those are luxuries rarely afforded to black men in Hollywood, especially those who show their vulnerability on the world stage. The legal case is still unfolding. The backlash is still burning, and the next chapter of Tyrese Gibson's life is unwritten. Will he step away from the spotlight and rebuild in silence? Will he use this pain as a platform to educate, to grow, to truly change? Or will the pressure once again cause him to implode in full view of the world? Only time will tell. But one thing is certain, the road ahead won't be easy. And the tragedy of Tyrese Gibson may not be that he fell, but that even as he tries to rise, too many are still waiting for him to fail again. Because in the end, this isn't just a story about a celebrity. It's about how we watch them break and then decide if they're worth putting back together.